In October of 2008, judicial law clerk Gabriel Lerner was shot in the head in a remote area of brush in the west end of St. Thomas. Days after he was brutally murdered, police tracked down his killers, an adult male by the name of Ariel Frett and his juvenile accomplice, John Jared Southwell. It was a crime that sent shockwaves throughout our community, left a family in mourning, and landed both men behind bars. But it was John Southwell who made a deal with prosecutors. In exchange for testifying in court against Frett, who's now serving a life sentence without parole, the 20-year-old Southwell could be out of jail before his 40th birthday. He was only 17 at the time of the murder. I recently had the opportunity to sit down with Southwell inside the Bureau of Corrections Annex, where he's serving his sentence. He talked to me about his childhood, how he went astray, and the fateful day when he and Frett took the life of Gabriel Lerner. He's speaking out in hopes that other young men like him turn away from a life of crime. He even has hopes for turning his own life around. I'm Sarah Lazama, and you're watching a special edition of Eye on the Islands. You pled guilty to second-degree murder of Gabe Lerner.
Yes.
How much prison time are you facing?
20 years.
How does that make you feel?
That's messed up.
You're going to be 20 this year, right?
Yes.
And how old were you when you were arrested?
17.
Okay, but it wasn't the first time you were arrested, right?
No.
You had had other run-ins with the law as a juvenile.
Yes.
Tell me about some of the other crimes maybe that you were arrested for and your experience going through the juvenile system.
Robbery, all kind of stuff. I was on the plane crash coming from St. Croix.
And you were coming over from St. Croix, from
yes.
YRC, to go to a hearing on St. Thomas.
Yes.
And what happened?
The plane started malfunctioning and it just went down.
In the ocean, right?
Yes.
And what was that experience like?
Frightening.
And what crime were you looking at that time?
It wasn't really a crime. I was just there because I was in a program and they sent me YRC for a couple of months. So it wasn't no crime. That was the first time. It wasn't no crime.
That was the first time you had ever been to YRC?
Yes.
Okay.
That was in 2006.
So at what point did your behavior escalate, or when did you go from good to not so good?
I say my second running with a law. That's when for a stabbing charge and a destruction of property charge.
And how old were you then?
15.
15.
And that was over the same year.
Okay. So really things started to go bad around 15?
Yes.
Why do you think that happened?
What I was doing, who I was with, and we just start going downhill from then.
Did it start off being minor things, maybe things that you didn't get caught for, you didn't get in trouble for?
Yes.
Like what?
Couple other robberies I did, stuff like that. Nothing major.
Okay. Did you ever think that you'd be behind bars for murder? Did you see yourself going on this path?
No.
Because you were still a minor at the time when you were arrested, your murder case was initially being held in juvenile court, and where you entered a plea of not guilty.
Yes.
Right? And under the VI law, the first-degree murder charge is a mandatory transfer to adult court.
Yes.
And the judge ordered your case to be transferred in July of 2010.
Yes.
What went through your mind when you realized that you would be treated as an adult?
Well, nothing really, but the only thing is that the crime, the charges, and I know it won't have been good for me,
You knew it was serious.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you know then what you were facing in terms of jail time if you were convicted?
Yes, if I didn't plead guilty, I was facing life without parole.
So at what point did you decide that you were going to plead guilty?
When I was talking to my attorney, and then he told me that they offered me a plea to plead guilty to second-degree murder and first-degree robbery. So at first I was thinking hard. I was saying, why should I plead guilty? And then they said, it make no sense to get life in jail, so I just take the plea and get it 20 years.
So do you see yourself serving out that whole 20?
Maybe, maybe not.
You didn't act alone on the day of the murder. You acted in concert with Mr. Ariel Devin Frett. How old was he?
23, 24, one. I didn't really know his age.
Was he someone that you considered a friend at the time?
Used to.
Used to. So you no longer consider him your friend?
No.
Let's go back to that day. You and Mr. Frett were catching a ride on Cassie Hill.
Yes.
Where were you trying to go?
St. John.
St. John, okay. When you saw Mr. Lerner drive up, what went through your mind? Did you immediately think, oh, this guy, he could be a target?
No.
No?
It just, I don't know what happened.
Did you intend to rob him that day?
No.
Do you think Mr. Frett intended to rob him that day?
If he did, he didn't tell me.
Did you know that he had a gun?
Yeah.
Whose gun was it?
His.
His gun. Once he robbed Mr. Lerner at gunpoint, did you think that would be the extent of it?
Yes. Honestly. Yes.
And that you guys would get out of the car and go on your way? But that didn't happen.
Nope.
What happened next?
Well, just after that, we just went, purchased stuff.
You went to Friendly's, right?
Yes, purchased stuff. Then we went down Bodo.
Past the Blue Water Bible College.
Yes, and
That's a long drive.
Yeah, it's a long drive.
What was going through your mind while you were in that car? On that drive out there with Mr. Lerner now in the trunk, right?
Nothing, I wasn't really thinking nothing. I was just along, just going along.
You were going along.
Yeah.
Did you feel pressured to go along with Mr. Frey?
Kind of.
Yeah? Were there other times in your life maybe where you felt pressured by other kids or bullied into doing anything?
No.
No?
Everything I did was on my own, Nobody forced me. Everything I did was just my decision,
So you're taking responsibility.
Yes. Do
Do you think that Mr. Frett was a bad influence on you?
No, yes. But before I never look at it like that. But now I could say yes. 'Cause
Did you have any positive influence in your life at the time?
a lot. But I wasn't studying no mind, paying attention to it.
Who were the positive people maybe that were telling you to straighten out or go a different way?
My mom, father, my sisters, my whole family and family friends.
What kinds of things were they telling you?
Well, one, stay away from him. He's bad company. He gonna get you in jail. But I didn't listen. That's my mom, Like Campbell too. Campbell used to talk to me. And I just wasn't listening. I just been whiling, as a young guy.
Why don't you think you were listening? You didn't believe what they were saying?
No.
No? You didn't think it would end up this way? Shortly after you were arrested, you confessed to the police. Why did you confess?
At first too, because he was telling them it's me,
Right.
you know. So I was just like, okay, I ain't gonna just sit down and he put all the blame on me, you know. So I confessed to my part in it, and just from then, everything just, you know what happened after that, you know.
Who was encouraging you? Was anybody encouraging you to confess?
At first I wasn't saying nothing, but then my mom and my attorney, but really when they called my attorney, he was on his way, but my mom had done reach first. So
What did she tell you?
at first she was like, if you know something, tell them. Why tell them me know nothing? And then after a while is when I realized like, this guy trying to put everything on me. So I just like, that's when I just realized like, I thought he was my friend, you know, and I just confessed to it.
So you found out quickly that he wasn't really your friend.
Yeah.
You told police in your confession that it was Fred that pulled the trigger, and you then decided to testify against him at trial. But what people maybe don't know is that a few days into the trial, before you were supposed to testify, you kind of got cold feet, right? Why?
Because I said just kind of do it, you know, like, because I was feeling away, but then I decided not to do it, you know, but I don't know what happened. Really and truly, I don't know what happened.
Were you afraid?
Not that I was afraid, but you could, like, I was really thinking about my family, you know, like, what's gonna happen, you know, so that's why I had decided not to do it, you know, so, you know what happened.
But in the end, you did go through with it.
Yeah.